Guys, so this is going to be the definitive acoustic guitar for beginners tutorial video, and as I was beginning to set everything up, I realized that it came out to about 7 points when I was taking notes, writing down all the things I wanted to touch on. So another title could be The 7 Principles of the Acoustic Guitar for Beginners. We'll see what we're going to title it, but the first thing is getting started. You'll notice this instrument has a curve to it. The curve is resting on my right leg while the instrument it's not flopped over. It's not, so that has to do with your posture. You have a good posture, you're sitting up straight like this. Feet are flat on the floor, I'm on the edge of the chair. Now, what do you do when you play? You play with a pick usually. Or many times, a lot of the time. This is an interesting shape pick. How to hold a pick. You might have seen videos of live players, and they use many different sorts of approaches to this. But for beginners, having a closed, kind of mostly closed up, clean kind of grip is what you want. So my thumb is, I always like to have the design of the pick facing up. Like if it's one of these Fenders, which is a very popular pick, the Fender Medium is probably more popular than this Fender Heavy. But I like to have the text of it facing up. That's just like an OCD thing. I don't know if that makes a difference, but over time they will bend with the direction that you play them. So my thumb is here like this, and my index finger clamp, it's not like this, you're not doing this. It's like this. And like I said, we're kind of tucked in. And if you see the other side, looks like so. So I'm approaching it this way. That's talking about picking. Now there's this idea, if we looked at the fretting hand for just a second. There's the idea, yeah, we're using a music stand at the minute. There's the idea of making all your movements as a guitar player efficient. So that's when you notice watching any professional musician, whether it be the harp, a harmonica player, a guitar player, any instrument at all, you'll notice that how they make it look so simple and so effortless. That's because they put so much time in and they refined their technique, whatever instrument it is, over and over, refining it, constantly using less effort, less effort, less effort. It's almost like a job. Like you get better and better, you get more efficient at it. It's not that you're getting lazy at it, you're just more efficient at it. So like for say we're holding down, let me just back up a minute. Let's just say we're holding down an E minor chord here. You notice my hands are very round shaped. There's a roundness to this shape. That's called technique. Now, for example, how about this A chord, right? We can zoom in even. I want to zoom in. Watch this. This is advanced. So say this A major chord, right? You play it like this. Notice you can only get so close to the fret, because that's something you have to think about also. When you're fretting a note, you can't, for example, this A major chord, like I was going to say, you can only get so close to the fret with this chord. So you have to be aware of that, and you have to push a little bit harder. There's no matter how big or small your hands are, there's nobody that can actually just get that close to it with this chord, with this finger. I'm talking about with this fingering as well. So this is food for thought for the idea of making your technique efficient, making the motions that you're doing very efficient. That comes with technique. The next thing, we'll go over here to the strumming hand. I thought, oh, we were zoomed in already. the main thing about guitar for beginners is probably strumming. Now, I'll hold down an E minor chord real quick. Here's this E minor chord. You notice I just strummed very close to the bridge. Why would you do that? That's not against the rules to do that. It's also not against the rules to strum way up here. But generally, this is a video how to play the acoustic guitar for beginners. This is the sound hole. The guitar has no pickup system. It's not an acoustic electric. It does not have any sort of electronics to it. Where you want to strum, generally speaking, it sounds simple, but maybe no one ever told you this, is over the sound hole. But to keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with strumming over here. Why would you do it though? It gives you a certain sound. Sometimes when you're strumming, you just want to almost rake across the strings, and doing it here gives you that particular tone, or if you're playing single note stuff too. So that's to do with strumming. Now the next subject we wrote out here was really to touch on the fretting hand again. I guess I might be leaving something out, but I have to come back. Oh, I think I know what I was meaning to say about this. Was that with the fretting hand, take that E minor again, you're on the tips of the very tips of your fingers. Why? Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're essentially a skeleton watching this with other anatomy features. And this edge, this end where your finger ends, just happens to be a tough, strong part. Imagine you're poking somebody and you're trying to get their attention. Hey, you're tapping them like this. Hey, you're almost trying to annoy them a little bit. That's that tough part of your finger there. This delicate part of your finger where if you're trying to, I don't know, massage somebody's ear, I have no idea. It's not efficient. It's a soft material, like a sponge. So with the fretting hand, the idea is to have this curled hand on that bone. The other thing that I think is a big question to a lot of people is tuning, how to tune. Now, there's something known as, you can Google this, YouTube it, internal tuning. And you can tune the guitar to itself. You don't have to get overwhelmed by it. I'm zooming in on this again. You can learn how to do this. You get familiar with your strings, you get familiar with the sound of these notes. My advice is this. First of all, do it in a quiet place. When you're doing this internal tuning, you want to really be able to hear these strings. And generally when you're tuning these tuning machines, you don't have to tune the hell out of them. Generally it's a slight adjustment that you have to make, and you always tune up to a note. Now the alternate thing is getting one of these. This is my favorite clip-on tuner. This is the Diodario. It's got a crumb on there. It's not coming off. This Diodario Eclipse tuner, although I own a Snark, which is very similar. For whatever reason, I bought a couple of these because one or two of them snapped. This one's holding up fine, and I really like this one. And what you do, of course, is attach it to your headstock and begin tuning that. And that does not train your ear, though. That does not make your ear more efficient. So what I recommend is picking up the keyboard and Googling internal tuning, how to do it. So, and because a guy actually left a comment on this channel saying, asking me about tuning. I haven't heard from the guy. He left, if you're out there, man, I'd like to hear from you. Because he left me a lot of comments. And then there's another guy on the Shorts channel keeps commenting, saying, I subscribed. And I said, have you subscribed to the main channel? Because I want to hear from you over here. trying to get the people from there over here. But anyway, to recap, first thing we talked about was getting started with the curvature of the body, how to rest it, your posture, how to sit. We talked about how to hold the pick. You know, that you may see many different players holding it different ways, but I showed you the most practical way. Talked about something which is basically your efficiency of your technique. We talked about strumming in general, where and how to do it. Talked about the technique to do with your fretting hand. And then we talked about probably the most important thing to making your guitar sound good, which is tuning. Because there's no substitute for that. And also, if you wanted to strum like this from the bridge. Oh, here's the great thing to think about before we go, because we don't need to limit ourselves to 10-minute video, is the thumb. The thumb is very, very important because it never really sits still. So don't be worried about the thumb needing to remain in the same place. For the C chord, it goes over here. For the G, it adjusts slightly. You know. See, now the thumb's on the back of the neck, positioned like this. We're sort of pointing upwards. You're not jamming your nail into the neck. Your thumb is just making these slight adjustments. And if you're having a problem with something very specific, check your thumb, because the thumb may just be the culprit. You know? All right. Well, the last thing I wanted is, let me just take this juice here. I went to work today and I took a little nap, but woke up. It's 2:22 in the morning. I wanted to get something out there. The last thing I wanted to say was, we're not going to drag this on today. It's going to be short, sweet, to the point. That's why I wrote out specifically what we wanted to touch on. But if you have any questions on this, is what I wanted to say, is that if you do have a question, reach out in the comments, let me know. And someone wrote on the Shorts channel, can you please start checking the comments? I believe I see most of them. So if you do have any questions, just reach out. This is the Martin 018. Very nice new guitar. It feels pretty lightweight today. I don't know, it feels lightweight. Get a guitar you like. Get a guitar that's within your budget. My first guitar was the Gibson SG Standard, and I was thinking today at work, I have all these acoustics. I only need one electric. I love that Gibson SG Standard. I got it right the first time. That's very rare. I do not need another electric period. That Gibson SG Standard just does it for me. Because as guitar players, let me just end with this. We're always looking for that feel, the tone. The little details matter a lot for guitar players. And that's why this gear becomes an obsession. The specs, the everything, it becomes an obsession, because as players we're always looking for just the stars to align, so to speak. And, those little details mean a lot. Alright guys, well, see you in the next one. I got a day off coming to me, so I'll check in with you soon.